Hi, this is Katie Nipp, and you're listening to the E.I.T.H.R podcast with D.Cal.
What up, what up, testing. 1 2 1 2. This is, are we on? Looks like we are. Hey, this is D.Cal, host of the E.I.T.H.R podcast. How you guys doing?
Here we go, a show to slowly unfold some views that's in the news that make us uncomfortable. You never heard this podcast is broadcast in contrast to popular opinion. Stop that, assuming that you knew every view that's brewing. So keep it moving. If you got any sense, then you're welcome to put two so in. Listen in, relax, chill, take a breather, and let D.Cal put y'all onto the ether.
What up, y'all? It's your boy D.Cal here, hosting the E.I.T.H.R podcast from the GNSHQ here in Northern California. Man, how's everybody doing, baby? Episode number 150. Listen, man, it feels good to be back, man. It's time has been flying, man. It's really wild, but we're gonna get into that, man. Listen, I hope everyone has had an awesome summer. Summer's about to come to an end. American football is about to start within the next week. College football is about to start this weekend, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, it's going to be a very, let's just say, adrenaline-driven season in the NFL coming up this year. So regardless of who your team is, your team fucking sucks unless it's the Las Vegas Raiders. 916-282-9372 is the phone number here to the GNSHQ E.I.T.H.R podcast. You can follow us on Instagram and Twitter with the same handle of the E.I.T.H.R, E.I.T.H.R. Listen, if you're new to the podcast, welcome to the E.I.T.H.R. And if you are a returning listener, welcome back. And I appreciate you guys in sharing your time with the few moments that we have here to talk about it. E.I.T.H.R podcast. It's the elephant in the room where we talk about discussions and topics that you normally would not be able to have with your peers because a lot of people tend to be short-sighted, one-sided, or just not your-sided. So the whole purpose of this thing, man, is not necessarily to sway your decision-making, right? But the goal is to give you a better understanding of what it is that you're disagreeing with. So even if you tune out of the podcast, at least you'll have an understanding of a perspective that you may have never seen before. That's what that is. We like to do everything with shout outs and inspiration and motivational, which is what we're going to do. We're not going to do the sponsor today because we're going to get into some gangster shit, in my opinion. We'll get into some deep conversation. So we're just going to run right into the next track after this. But shout out to, I want to give off top. Shout out to Jesse at Dash Mart. I was in there just the other day, and my man was like, "Yo, when you gonna do another episode?" And I was like, "Man," and I didn't really understand how fast time had gone by because he was like, "Man, the last one you did was the 8th." And I was like, "Word?" It's like, "Yeah, man, you're looking at like 20 days of nothing." I was like, bro, let me tell you something. Every time I think about doing a podcast, I'd be like, okay, I'm going to do one tomorrow. And tomorrow turned into 20 days. And it isn't the fact that I've been trying to neglect it. It's a couple of reasons, actually. Here at the GNS HQ, there's a couple of spaces that a lot of bands practice and rehearse. So when I get time to come here to the studio to record an episode, at times there are musicians practicing their live equipment. And I'm not knocking it, but the last thing I need is for their music to get picked up and broadcasted while I'm trying to discuss some things, right? One, I don't have their approval to play their music, so I want to be respectful of that. Two, I want to be respectful of you to make sure that there's no distractions and when I'm talking while you're listening. And then plus, I have the music from GNS Entertainment playing in the background, so it's like a lot going on during that time. So while I'm gonna put that on hold, I'm gonna go work on another project. But then I was tired. Then it's like, okay, well, I got to get some shut-eye because the next day or the next event or the next whatever. Okay, I'm going to do one later and rinse and repeat. And so, again, sometimes the musicians come in and out. Sometimes they're here for half an hour and I can wait it out. Other times they're here for a few hours. And it's like, I'm not going to be that guy to say, hey, y'all need to shut up. I'm doing a podcast. So I want to be respectful of it. But those are reasons why you haven't heard. Also, there's been a lot of just discussions and stuff regarding, politics and I'm trying to come up with something that's different to talk about in politics. And so, my whole brain's just been overthinking what I should be talking about. So that's what it is. So, what I'm going to start doing, man, is I'm going to start hitting up episodes earlier in the day. And so they're not going to be live. They're going to be recorded episodes. So, which is cool. None of the content gets out. It's going to be pre-recorded. That's what it is. So, moving forward, that's the scenario. That's the situation. But inspirational, motivational. This is one of those. So I was in this Facebook group, and it was a post something similar to men only, give advice to women to help you understand, understand you more, or something to that effect. And this is an inspirational, motivational quote, but it's also going to lead into a topic, right, for the podcast. And the quote is this. I said something to the fact of, treat me like the king that I am, and I'll treat you as the goddess you are. Or treat you as the goddess you deserve. And in relationships, that's how it should be, right? If he treats you like a queen, you should in return treat him better than he deserves. Each person should treat one another. Each person should treat their partner better than the treatment they're receiving. Right? That's the whole intent of that. Treat me as the king that I am. I'll treat you as the goddess you deserve. Boy, this is going to become a topic. Because as inspiring and motivating as it should be, there were several bastards who took offense to it. And we're going to get into that in a quick moment. But right now, I want to talk about something really important. Something that's also important. I haven't been able to find the video or the article, but Lord knows you can look this up. And I saw this a few months ago, but we're going to tie a bow around this bitch and kind of show you what you guys need to be very, 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 very aware of. All right. So several months ago, I put a post and I did an episode that they have these fake masks that look like real people. And the post that I had on social media, and I believe we talked about it here in the podcast, was primarily it was masks of African Americans. It was masked with melanin, and it had, you know, the authentic synthetic features, right? It also had the hairpiece, like the afro. And in this particular video and article that I was reading and looking at, it also had extremities. So it had the forearm and the hands to match the complexion. And so it was primarily white men who were putting these masks, putting on this hair, putting on these arms, wearing sweaters and hoodies and zip up tops with sunglasses. And they weren't doing anything, you know, other than wearing it in the photo. The article basically was just saying how these things are available and how it can cause some controversy. And listen, what usually starts off as a joke normally can end tragically. And there's been a lot of situations where people will say and do things just to be funny, but then it triggers someone or some other people. And then this whole thing becomes a thing. Well, in addition to all of that, bro, we really need to be very cautious with this AI shit. Because I posted a video, which you can clearly tell is AI, on social media. And it's the AI of Kamala Harris and Donald Trump walking hand in hand on the beach. And it has 50 Cent's Hate It or Love It. Well, the Game's Hate It or Love It as the background music. They're walking on the beach. And it kind of gives like a timeline in this video, you know, short clip. So they're on the beach, and then then the next scene is like them kissing in front of a panel of all the politicians and political figures. And then Kamala's pregnant, and you see Trump rubbing her belly with his hand, and his hand has finger paint on, like fingernail polish on it, which is kind of random, right? And then you see her holding their son, which is a little baby Trump with the hairpiece and a suit. And then Trump's voice comes out and sings the Game's portion of the song. You probably heard the song before anywhere on social media, like TikTok, Instagram. I thought the shit was funny. I really thought it was hilarious. But then there's another video AI. And this is the one that spawned this theory of, yo, we need to be careful with this shit. In this particular video that I'm speaking about, you see figures such as Donald Trump, you see figures such as Vladimir Putin, you see figures such as Hillary Clinton, you see figures as Kamala Harris, you see figures as Kang Young-joon, you see figures walking around with semi-automatics, you know, with assault rifles, with what's that thing that the Grim Reaper has? I can't think of it, the name off the top of my head, but it has like that. It's a curvatured blade at the tip. I can't think of it, but if you ever seen a picture of the Grim Reaper or a Grim Reaper type of figure, you'll see this weapon, and he's walking around with it, and it's like they're sitting there having conversations, interrogations with people. Biden sitting in a chair and fully just sitting in front of whoever he's sitting. Again, this is an AI video. And he's sitting in this chair with like this 1911 handgun, or it might have been like a Colt 45. And he's blowing the guy away in the chair. And you see these people, it's almost like a political purge, but of traitors or whomever it might be, right? The video that I posted with Kamala Harris and Donald Trump, it was funny because the first two appeared to be like, okay, you can tell, okay, that really looks like Kamala Harris. Damn, that really looks like Donald Trump. And then like by the third or the fourth slide, you can tell, okay, this doesn't look like Kamala Harris anymore. Like, okay, it has certain features, it resembles, but it's not. It no longer is her identical imagery. Once she's like getting her belly rubbed and holding the baby, it's you can tell. It's kind of like Tia Murray at this point, right? Which was funny because these two are, going back and forth. We got to be very, very extremely careful. And I'm going to tie this bow and set it in a nice box because in the rap hip hop world, one of the biggest issues with BBL was he used a AI version of Tupac and Snoop Dogg's voice for a song. So I want you to just connect these dots real quick of plastic prosthetics that look like different ethnic grouping, AI video where you can alter, enhance, change, edit certain environments and surroundings. And then you have the artificial voiceover practically over anybody you have access to changing. Do you know the chaos that can happen? I remember when NFTs were a big thing, and my homegirl Caprona was basically saying, this is white collar money laundering. If you really think about it, it's things that are purchased to mask what really is being purchased, like a cover, like a front, if you will. So my concern is going to be this, y'all. We need to be cautious and careful because I kind of see in the future people doing certain things to blackmail or to distract or to give the false pretense of an opponent behaving a certain type of way, causing this big commotion. What they call it, the Kansas City Shuffle, right? Everyone looks right and you go left. So I can honestly see this coming a huge issue in urban communities, and I see this coming a big problem in entertainment and politics. I just do. I remember when the George Floyd thing was at its height, and you had protesters, at least here in Sacramento, right? You had protesters, and there was a few times where it's come out. It was always assumed, but it came out. You had individuals who were coming from places like Placerville, places like Folsom, who would drive down to downtown Sacramento, getting involved with these protests and these marches. They were the ones who were taking advantage of opportunities to loot and vandalize, and then drive their happy asses back up Highway 50. Right? While everyone who would say, no, we're not doing, there were groups of people who came from different elements who had nothing to do with it, who literally were taking advantage of exactly what the other people were being accused of. It was an opportunity for them to get their hands dirty while keeping their hands clean. If that makes any sense. I honestly can see this shit happening with politics. One political party has access to mimicking, copying, doing a rendition of another politician from the opposing side. And there's a video, and it's created. Now, that doesn't mean that the politicians are going to set this up, but I wouldn't put it past civilians creating this because they want to be funny of a conservative doing something at a historical gravesite of a civil rights leader. I wouldn't put it past civilians creating this liberal politician dressed up as fill in the blank at this event, creating this big chaotic scene when there's children around. I can see people doing shit like that. The news is going to pick it up because, again, we live in a world where not many people take the time to research or have the know-how where to research to decipher what is, what isn't real. They're just going to run with it, post it, talk about it, and then do the research after the fact. Again, as a distraction. Y'all need to be very cautious and be very careful. And we live in a world where it's so goddamn easy for people to get manipulated with what they see. Most of us collectively will believe the bullshit and doubt the truth when it's revealed. We live in that era right now. Because there's been things that have been proven about people, yet people still choose to believe the misinformation because in their mind, I just feel that person did or didn't do what they were proven to not have done. And you got to be cautious of getting in conversations with individuals like that, man, because a person changed against their will is still of the same opinion still. So you need to be cautious, you need to be careful. And be aware that this type of technology, this type of ability is out there, and it's only improving as it gets more experience. It's learning. It's evolving. So, man, I wanted to make sure that was talked about first and foremost because I honestly feel that's important. I would hate for someone to create a video of something, someone, somewhere, upload it, disperse it over the internet, and the actual person who's being copied, mimicked, or duplicated is oblivious to what's going on. They weren't even around that area when it took place. But now they got to go through all this rigmarole to prove their innocence just for pockets of society to still believe, nah, well, you could have done it if you did it, so therefore you did it to me. In my mind, he did it. So be wary, man. Be wary. Be cautious of the technology that you're using, how often you're using, the accessibility of others having to it. Because all it takes is your voice. And next thing you know, man, someone had posted a video of you with somebody else someplace you said that you weren't, with someone you said you didn't know. And next thing you know, you're being confronted by your significant other of an artificial video and audio of you doing some shady shit. And you're literally saying, I was at home sleeping. How much damage is that shit going to do to you? So it's not just famous people. It can happen to us lonely civilians on this side of the tax bracket. And that, my friend, is going to create a lot of topics, a lot of posts, and a lot of memes. So be very, very aware of that. Next thing I'm going to talk about, truth be told, my man who did the intro for the E.I.T.H.R podcast out there in Colorado, he hit me up and was like, hey, is this a good topic for the E.I.T.H.R? And I'm confident we talked about this. If not, damn sure had the intention to. I'm gonna read this to you guys. So if you go to the E.I.T.H.R IG page, you'll see this post of this gorgeous woman, and she's wearing this dress. I'm gonna read the caption to you because I'm like, I don't believe this is a real post, and I honestly believe that this is something that somebody fabricated, like the E.I.T.H.R I'm talking about, because this woman looks like someone I've seen before. But again, it could be. But I think this is a post that someone created strictly for likes and attention. But it goes like this. It says, thoughts. Who is right? My husband works and I'm a stay-at-home mom. He is the most unselfish person I know. I handle all the finances and he has never said or acted like it was his money. It's our money. Anyway, he is upset with me because he found out I had a bank account he knew nothing about. I've been making money online and keeping it from him. He says that his problem is not that I have been making money online, but that I kept it from him in the event of a divorce someday. He said that women keeping a stash of hidden money in case the marriage fails, is like a man keeping a side chick in case the marriage fails. And we both need to be all in or nothing. My mom raised me to have a secret stash that my husband doesn't know about. Is this wrong? Is my husband right? Basically, that's the post. Here's my issue with that. Let me preview it this way. Here is why I lean towards this shit being wrong. You're already planning an escape before the danger. Now, in certain situations, you want to go into something with an escape route, with a plan B or a plan C, in case something does happen, like a catastrophe happens, right? If something goes wrong, if something catastrophic takes place, you want to make sure you can land on all 10 toes. Not a problem with that. But those instances come when it's starting a business, when it comes to taking a financial risk, loaning somebody, lending somebody, allowing somebody to borrow something. In a unsure relationship, I can understand why you would take, let me just go ahead and do this real quick in case. Completely understand. But part of me in a marriage, I've never been married. 25, I wish I was married. A few years ago, I was ready to propose. I have learned that marriage is not in my cards. So there's a great chance I'm never going to find the woman who makes me feel comfortable enough to propose again, or comfortable enough to want to take that jump. That's just me. Right? I'm a person who doesn't have the faith or belief in what I tell others to have faith and believe in. I am a hypocrite. 100% understand that. I get it. 100%. But that's also things that I have to heal within myself. I do not understand why a person would do that unless they're already planning to create a route. You have to, this is my theory on things. You have to take in consideration someone's upbringing. Vet the source of where you get your information from. If this case, let's just assume this shit is real, and her mama did raise her to be this. Mama, what type of men were you dealing with? Were you dealing with stand-up gentlemen? Or were you dealing with scoundrels and scallywags who were taking advantage of you, and you got fed up, and you never healed those wounds, and you passed that to your daughter? What's the saying? What we choose to avoid, your children will inherit. So did you pass on this damaged viewpoint to your daughter, who now sees the world as, I gotta take care of me, regardless of how good everything is over here? Because in my mind, why'd you marry him? Now, That all comes from the caveat that she said. He never knew. If this is your wife, if that is your husband, if you are a married couple, why can't you have this discussion outright up front in the open? Listen, this is how I was raised. This is what I believe. This is where I'm thinking. We should do this. I'm not planning, but I'm planning. You never know. As a reserve. I like to lean to, if I ever got married in this situation, I would say we should have our own separate bank accounts for stuff that we personally want for ourselves. Right? If me and my wife had a joint account and I want to go and buy, a car. That joint bank account is an account that her and I should have a discussion on whatever comes out of. We should be given the heads up on whatever goes in it, and we damn sure should have a discussion on whatever comes out of it, so at least the other person is fully aware. If we choose to have separate accounts that we both have discussed and agreed upon, what you do with that money over there ain't none of my motherfucking business. What I do with this money over here ain't none of your motherfucking business. Under the understanding, it's nothing detrimental to the marriage. I'm not spending this on a side piece. You're not spending that on a sneaky link. We're not spending this because we're trying to make sure we fund a home and a bunker in case one of us is murdered by a meteor. That's not it. It's simply, this is if me and the boys want to go out. This is my spending money. This is if I want to go and buy a boat because I'm in a midlife crisis. This is, I want to buy me a new toy because of, I want to invest in this. This ain't got nothing to do with our money. This is over here. But again, if that's something that you and the significant other, you and your spouse discussed and talked about, shit, have at it. But in this situation, it appears he did not know about that. And that's the part where it's, if you're hiding this from me, what else are you keeping away from me? What else do I not know? This could be the one thing. And people say, one lie can distort the truth. That just shares with me, we don't have an open communication as much as I'd like to have believed we did, if this is what you're doing behind my back. Now, again, if you come from the environment where you have to protect yourself no matter what anyone says, you got to do this because you just never know, it is completely understandable. Your boyfriend, you ain't really got to say shit to. Your fiance, it's a flip in the coin if you want to disclose that information. If this is your spouse, nothing should be off limits unless there's dirt being done. I don't understand why you would keep that. What do you guys think? Would you be in a situation where girlfriend, fiance, wife, boyfriend, fiance, husband, it doesn't really matter to me. If I want to keep something for myself, I'm going to keep something for myself. Is that your mindset? 2, if it is your mindset, do you feel that your spouse should at least know that you got something on your own too, so that way they can do the same? Or is this one of those situations where he don't need to know what I got, but I better know what's going on with him? Because of what's your take on something like that? How do you see it? Right? What's your angle on that? Do you agree? Because personally, I don't. So I'm just curious on how other people see that. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is my comment that I use for the inspirational motivational, which is treat me like the king that I am, and I'll treat you as the goddess you deserve to be. So I got a Facebook ban for a post back in 2019. Shit's getting out of hand. This is not the first time Facebook has removed something from months ago, but this is the first time. No, actually, I had friends who had posts removed that were 10 years old. So this isn't new. It's just new for me. So they had a post removed from August of 2019, and at 5:30 this morning, Pacific Standard Time, I was reinstated to be able to do Messenger and post and react on Facebook. I haven't reacted to the post from 3 days ago that I posted on before my Facebook jail sentence, right? My 72-hour mandatory cooldown. And I haven't even looked at the comments, but there were several people, primarily women, who ha-ha'd at my comment of treat me like the king that I am. I'll treat you like the goddess you deserve. And it's interesting, and I kind of want your opinion on this. Are the women responding with laugh emojis at what I said because, quote unquote, some man on the internet referring to himself as king in a retort to the comments that they get from men when they call themselves queens? Kind of like a tit for tat. Are they laughing at that comment because it was clever? Again, I haven't read the comments, so I can't really tell the content. But when I did have access to the post, the first 2 or 3 people who ha-ha'd it didn't really say nothing. They just emojied it. This is one of those situations where, again, nobody really understands what it is that they said they want. Because the way I took it was like this. You want a man who takes control and is confident and sure and assertive. But then when you get that, you don't like the way it makes you feel. So then it led me to this question. And this is what I'm going to ask you guys too when it comes to, intimate relationships mainly, but friendships in general as well. How would you know, ladies, for example, if fake men, horrible men, scoundrel men, if they tend to put on the facade, the illusion, the image of being a good guy in the beginning, just to get what they have in their agenda as a goal? How can you differentiate that between the genuine actions of a good man? Again, if the jerk face dickhead guy who's playing this role simply just to bag you and tag you is doing the same things a good guy would, a good guy would say, a good guy would act, a good guy would treat you just to hurt you at the end, how would you be able to tell when a good guy is actually doing it? In my experience, in this case talking about women, they say shit like, You can just tell. Well, if you can tell, why are you single? Why are you bitter towards men? And why are you so quick to do them wrong before they do you? Secondly, why does it appear that when you find a good man, he's corny, he's boring, he's nice, but you find reasons to no longer want to be with him? Why is that? Right? And again, you can turn it around on the fellas. If you want a good woman, if you want that wife material, and that's one thing too, is generally speaking, right? Women who play the field say they don't like a certain kind of guy because he doesn't give up husband material. They're looking for husband material. Players don't want spousal material. Players want dating material because you're not looking for commitment. This is another reason why in many cases, speaking about women, a lot of guys don't take what you say seriously, because most of the time what you say versus what you are attracted to are completely different energies. Completely different energies. And one woman put it best. I never heard of this before. It's a woman wants fever. It's fun, excitement. I can't remember what the V was. Energy and regret. Most women, at least women who are emotionally unintelligent, unmature, they tend to want a bad boy because it allows them to justify the way they behave towards men. It allows them to justify behaving poorly towards men. If you are a good guy, you do not give her any reasons to be miserable. Some women, I remember listening to this video, and it just made me think. In many cases, it's a flex for some women. It's a flex to be hurt, to be used, to be emotionally damaged, right? Have you ever had a conversation with somebody and all they did was complain? They just complained. Hell, I'd be in Dash Mart and cats will complain about how long it's taking for orders to come through, right? And in my mind, I'm like, bro, there are 4 people picking groceries in this big ass warehouse of a building, and you got a 28 item order. My order is 26. Her item list is 17. They got 6, and orders are still coming through. And there are 3 people who are putting away inventory because they just got trucked. So there's 7 people working. 4 of them are picking. 3 of them are putting away stock. 2 managers in the office, they're doing whatever they got to do with their managerial shit. And 1 person has to get their lunch break. And you hear the machine going off. People will complain about the wait. In my mind, I'm thinking to myself, they're hiring, become an instant worker. You can be the solution to the problem. 2, some people will complain, and I'm not bullshitting. That's how they make friends. That's how they get buddy-buddy. I'm not your buddy-buddy. The moment you complain to me, my first response is, you're getting paid, right? Yeah, okay. Cool. Easy money. Yeah, but you know what I'm saying, they're preventing from making money out there. Okay, well then cancel this order and go get another order. No, I mean, I'm already here. Okay, so you're not going to cancel, but you're going to complain about why you have to wait. I don't want to, where's the logic in that, right? Some people love to complain because it allows them, it justifies why they're upset. And if you complain with me, we just became best friends And now I know your name. So when I see you, we have this one thing to talk about, and that's our small talk. That's how we intro one another. Still here? Oh, you got another order? Okay. Yeah, man, I hope it isn't. Man, last time I was here. Like, I don't give a fuck how long you were here, bro. You got paid. Shut up. And it's not like you got an order from here. It prevents you from getting an order from another restaurant. Clearly, you're not getting any orders because there's no other orders in the area. Shut up. I tend to walk away. Or I roll my eyes. It's annoying to me. But that's because I am also aware of what's going on in the facility. So for me, it's the recognition people complain. And listen, I've heard groups of people complain. Some like people were like, man, I don't know why they just don't bring the orders one at a time. I mean, get people out here. And I remember talking to the dealers that, well, they've done that before. And it wasn't effective because every time they come with one order to get to the person, that motherfucker doesn't speak English, so they don't recognize the name. 2, they're all talking amongst each other, so they didn't hear the name get called. 3, everybody who didn't get their name called, they're now putting their phones in their motherfucking faces, asking, is my order ready? When you saw her come up with one bag calling a specific name. So what they thought, which was more effective, is make your funky asses wait, bring 20 orders, I'm being exaggerating, bring 20 orders at once on a cart and call them all out at once while someone else is bagging the next order. Yeah, but what if your order isn't the one of the 20 that's being brought up? What if your order was the one order that they didn't bring at a time? Like, what's the difference? At least this is one fell swoop and making the job effective. Yeah, but you still gotta wait if it's not your order. I'm like, you still have to wait regardless. At this point, homie stopped talking because he realized I wasn't trying to be his friend. And the woman he was complaining to that was standing next to me, I broke that down to her. She understood it. You could tell he has an attitude because I took his one friend away. And I'm being tongue-in-cheek, right? But this motherfucker still shows up at Dash Mart getting orders. I see him. I'm like, okay, so the wait wasn't that bad. You just wanted to complain. Complaining and venting are two different things. You want to vent? I got you. Both ears are open. Get it off your chest. You want to complain? Shut the fuck up. Go get a dog. He don't know what you're saying. That dog just believes that you love him. Nothing else matters. Buy a dog. Complain to your puppy. Right? Because not everyone wants to hear that. So, some people do date shitty people because it allows them to have that flex of, well, the reason why I behave this way is because men react, men treat, men act, men say, men do. Okay, well, have you ever maybe gave it any contemplation that the reason why men act, say, do, behave is because that's the type of men you attract? Nobody wants to hear that part. Accountability to women is like a slur. It offends them. The immature women, the women who are hypocritical, right? The princess divas, as I like to call them, the princess divas, who you accommodate, you spoil, you treat, but I ain't got to do that shit to you because the world, universe, galaxy is on my axis. Those bitches are delusional, and they don't know what makes them happy because the mood changes, and they're only happy corresponding to their mood. Fellas, you can't please that type of woman. You can't. So instead of these people, going back to my Facebook comment, instead of these people noticing, hey boy, I see you, she treats you like the king, you treat her like the goddess. I heard that. More men need to talk like that. More men need to be like that. More men need to say it like that. No, that's not what happened. It was, so what makes you a king? some people ask questions not to hear your answer, but to respond to what they think you meant. As if they already have a predetermined notion in their brain of your meaning. And regardless of your definition or your explanation, they're not going to believe you because of what they think you meant is what you meant to say. You have to be cautious and careful with people like that. Because some people, and I've dated women like this, they find peace in chaos, bro. They find peace in chaos. Why? Again, it's a flex for them. It allows them to justify the way they behave. And understand something, again, talking about women in this particular case. The more you try to explain logic to someone who sees things emotionally, it's not going to connect. Not because you're inaccurate, not because you're saying something wrong, mainly because, well, I don't feel that way. And there's nothing you can do with that conversation because I don't feel. And that can translate to conversations we're talking about politics. I don't give a damn if you show a video, a confession, an audio of what Joe Biden has done, what Kamala Harris hasn't done, what Donald Trump was in the middle of doing, and it's been documented, confessions and admittance. It doesn't matter. If someone doesn't feel like this was fair, you cannot match that logic. So don't even try. When it comes to giving a compliment or being assertive and confident, if the people take it as a joke, there's no need in you being serious. It's just stop. Because they're trying to egg you on to provoke you to become what they already see you as. And if you're dating somebody, that is a big ass red flag. That's like a Mexico-sized flag waving in the air that you can see from I-5 outside of Chula Vista. Like, you can see it. You can see that bitch. And they're waving it with pride because in their mind, they think and believe they're busting you out. Or they're gonna bust you out. You can't do shit with those people, bro. Because even if you make one mistake several months down the line, they're going to say, finally, see, I knew it was in there. Because they're looking for reasons. Some people just need reasons to justify poor behavior. Ain't shit you can do but either move forward understanding that, or, hey, I gotta go. And drop them bags at the door and ride off someplace else, bro. Because it's not going to improve. Some of those mindsets, I saw another video. It's called catastrophizing. You have to make shit a catastrophe. You have to. Otherwise, it ain't going to work. If you don't make it a catastrophe, again, you can't function, you can't find peace. They find peace in chaos. You can't find any peace if there's no chaos. And that's because that's the world that they come from. That's a world they're familiar with. That is a world that they grew up around. That was a world in which they learned their lessons from. That is a world that they truly only been exposed to. And no matter what they tried to do to alter, to change, to prove that it's something different, it's always come back full circle to what they were shown. So to them, it's evidently factual. This is how it is. And in many cases, talking about men as well in this situation. People are in catastrophic relationships because they don't know themselves. And that shit is huge. That is big. You have to know your own piece, bro. You have to know your triggers. You have to know your buttons. You have to know your levers. You have to know what does and what doesn't set you off. It's easier to communicate. Matter of fact, it's easier for you to know what you will and what you won't tolerate, let alone allow. If you know yourself, and this is not being picky, this is not being judgy, this is not thinking you better than everybody, this is not you thinking you are royalty, believing that you should be worth and treated is completely different than having this false entitlement of a one-sided type of relationship. But when you understand who you are, you then realize those type of people are so far in between, not because they're rare in availability, but because they're rare in understanding that law for themselves. Too many people are in relationships, friendships, whatever you want to call it, not because this person is cool, not because you and this person matches, not because you and this person vibe, but because society says this is who you should be friends with. That's it. Society says, here are friends, this is what you should do, this is what it should be like, this is who you should kick it with, and you wind up being friends with motherfuckers that you really don't match with. But they're your friends, so you have this emotional and obligation to be attached to them, and you're trying to fit into something that doesn't match you. So sometimes being alone is all the company that you need. Because being alone doesn't mean you're lonely. It just means that people that's around you doesn't match what you're trying to do. They're not matching your goals. Again, if you know yourself, it's not a bad thing. It can be frustrating because you want to be able to share some experiences with people. You want to be able to hang out and do things with some people, but you have to also understand that would you rather be accompanied with bad energy and have that shit drain you? Or would you rather have company with the few good who energize you? Remember, negative energy is twice as strong as positive energy. You don't believe me? Bad news travels faster than good news. Because good is what's expected. Let me word it this way. Good is what we want. Bad is what's expected. You hope for good, but you're expecting bad. That's why when you go someplace, you hope you have a good time, and you're shocked when you do. But when you go someplace and you have a bad experience, I fucking knew it. Because that's what we're looking for. If you change how you see things, the things you look at is going to change. If you choose only to associate yourself with people who have great, awesome, amazing energy, that's who you're going to attract. Which is the reason why, again, you're probably going to run into very few people. Because those few people that you do attract to, they are in connection, or they are attempting to connect with the optimism side of the vibe. Right? So again, match your energy. These folks that got me fucked up. Because again, they chose to, in this comment I'm talking about, back to the comment of the group, they overlooked the fact that I said, and I will treat you like the goddess you deserve. It just means, if you treat me good, I'll treat you great. You treat me great, I'm going to treat you very well. You treat me very well, then shit, ain't nothing I'm going to do for you. That is an energy in a relationship that should be reciprocated between the two people. Each person should be a servant for their partner. And with servant, understand the context that I'm talking about. It doesn't mean be a slave. It doesn't mean be a whipping boy or girl to your partner. It's you're an obedient to their pleasure. And again, context, making him or her happy. Because if you know what makes you happy, pleasing your partner is going to be simple. Because they're going to tell you everything they need. And when it comes to pleasing men, which is going to be a completely different topic on the podcast, but I'm going to leave with this. If women put in the same effort to pleasing a man that men are expected to put into pleasing a woman, you will see a change in relationships and perspective of relationships in today's world. And it'll be a fat ass 180. But everybody wants to be the class clown of the day. And maybe humor is a way of deflecting their pain. Lord knows I'm a master of that. But maybe you should work on yourself so that way the pain isn't bled over to the people who are also trying to mend those wounds. What do you guys say? Anyway, that's enough for the podcast for me, man. I appreciate you guys listening. Make sure you follow on Instagram and Twitter. The E.I.T.H.R. E.I.T.H.R. And we will check you guys back for episode 151. It's your boy Decal, and I'm out.
Most t-shirts are simply cool to look at and or look in. Well, so are ours. But ours also aim to send a message. They aim to put a name on obstacles that once stood in your way and aren't there anymore. Struggles that you turned into successes and crushed. You made it look easy. Shop at mile.today. Mile.today. www.mile.today.